Steel Curtain Network.
¡Por Jorgito! ¡Going down! Najee Harris! DJ Watt!
What is up, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Steelers Preview. I am 1/3 of the Triumphant Trio. I'm Jeff Hartman, joined by Dave Schofield and Brian Davis. Dave, what's up?
I'm distracted by the wood paneling behind Brian, but other than that, I'm doing really great. For those of you who are on the audio side, I'm sorry, but that's just one of those things. So, hey, it's good. Got to watch some of the Open Championship today, but knowing that a week from now we're going to be talking about a practice, even if it's just in shorts, football in shorts is still better than no football at all.
That's right.
I'm sad that kind of means summer's over and we got to really get into the grind of it. But boy, it's a whole lot of good grind. It's a grind that you love.
All right, let's sprinkle Brian. What's up, Brian?
Hey, gentlemen, it's so great to be here. You know what? Yeah, we always say we don't want to wish our summer away, but consolation is when you get to see these guys at St. Vincent College getting ready to go. And how are you not excited, especially for what could be with this team? So I am loving it. I'm fine with the summer being away because guess what? As hot and dreadful as it is in the Northeast, I could use some nice October weather.
Absolutely. What we're going to do is we're going to save some of the news bits that we normally talk about. We're going to push those at the beginning of the second half. We're going to get right into our topic for today, training camp storylines. I think Dave and Brian both said it. The 24th, the next Wednesday is when the Steelers report. The 25th will be the very first practice. That is an open practice now that I think about it, the 25th. And again, no helmets. I think they have to practice for like 10 days before they can actually put on
Only
pads.
helmets.
Right. Yeah.
Shorts.
Shorts. Yeah. So, so this is going to be about storylines. So the next time we actually do this Steelers preview podcast practices will be underway. And so I was like, let's talk about what people might want to look for, storylines to track. And maybe these are our own storylines and no one else's. That's fine. But what are your storylines that you're looking after? Let's do it one at a time. We'll bounce around the room and then we'll wrap this up. Dave, what is one storyline that you're looking forward to seeing in training camp at St. Vincent College?
Okay, well, I'll hit the easy one. That is players returning from injury. How much are they able to participate? I mean, you could even say someone like a Cam Hayward who had surgery in the offseason. He's a different kind of storyline as well. I'll save that one for someone else.
Right.
But of course, a Cole Holcomb, especially with the news of the signing of Tyler Medikevich.
Yeah.
Some think that goes to show that Cole Holcomb isn't going to be ready. I don't know that that's a definite, but it very well could be. And you can't forget Corey Trice, who has not ever played in a NFL padded practice. Well, a full NFL padded practice. He was hurt during the first one. So some of those players that are dinged up, or even players that we didn't know were recovering from stuff in the offseason, sometimes we don't find out until training camp when they're not fully participating. We're like, he had something with his ankle or something, things of that nature. So the health and participation of players, I think, is a pretty good storyline.
Yeah. There are always those players that Mike Tomlin says, this player is going to start on the PUP list. Like, he was hurt. Like, what's wrong with him? So it does happen. So that's a good one. Brian, any thoughts on that, or do you just want to go right into your first storyline?
So, yeah, you know what? I love where he's going with that. I was going something completely different, but slightly similar, because I was going to talk about the depth of the inside linebackers. And so Dave brought up Cole Holcomb, and I was going to go ahead and mention him in that mix with a Landon Roberts, with Patrick Queen. And I think it is less of looking at the fact that maybe Cole Holcomb's not ready, but looking more to the fact that Mr. Robinson's never going to be ready.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm wondering here, fellas, if that's what we're looking at.
It's interesting. The inside linebackers, we will talk about Dirty Red returning in the second half of the show. I really like the room, though. Hey, even with Dirty Red in it, Mark Robinson, hey, if he doesn't cut it, and he gets cut. Like, it's that simple. Dave, what do you want to say?
Yeah. Well, the question is, do any of us think that there's room for both of them?
No. I don't,
Brian?
personally.
No.
Both? Yeah, I don't think there's room for both of them. Unless there's, because my goodness, until they really get him acclimated, just because we're used to how the Steelers do things, especially with draft picks, that the further down you go in the rounds, the more you're expecting them to not get on the field on offense or defense on their respective side until further in the season. You're almost looking at Peyton Wilson being the same kind of thing that could mainly be depth and special teams.
Yeah.
So do you really need 3 depth and special teams? Because there's no way it's going to be Peyton Wilson. So then you're talking about those. My question is there even really room for one of them? If Holcomb's healthy, I would say no. So there's a lot going on there, but my goodness, at least they have a lot of options.
Absolutely. Now, my storyline, everyone's probably thinking, well, he's going to talk about the quarterbacks. Like, it's going to be the quarterbacks. No, I'm not going to talk about the quarterbacks, because if you followed our sourced information all offseason, there's nothing to talk about with the quarterbacks. Sure. Do I want to see Justin Fields look like he's a capable NFL quarterback? Yes. Do I think there's a competition? Absolutely not. The one position that I am really excited to watch, like, I just want to see how it plays out. And there's so many different possibilities. Offensive tackle. I want to see Dan Moore Jr., Broderick Jones, Troy Fautanu. How do they shake out? Does Fautanu come in and be like, man, this guy looks the part. He's acting the part. He's playing the part. He's going head to head and backs on backers. And that's those type of pass rushing drills. And maybe he says, I am the right tackle from week 1. Boy, would that be awesome. And then the left side would obviously be Broderick Jones. I'm really excited for the offensive tackles. Really excited. Dave's laughing. What's up?
Oh, just something in the live chat.
Brian Brown. Are you in the steam room at the Beehive? That paneling.
Quite
the
the
steam room would not have wood paneling, Brian. All right.
You've
There would be
never
a lot of
seen
war.
steam room with wood paneling?
Steam room?
Yeah.
Or a sauna?
Yeah.
Jeff's never been to a
kind of thing, isn't it? Really? I don't know.
No,
I've never
steam
been in
room
either
is
one of them.
moisture. You would have, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, plus, I don't think Jeff's ever been to a gentleman's club.
I have. I did have a bachelor
Really?
party, yes.
Ah, okay.
I have not. I'll admit it. I have not.
And I
No one's
also went
surprised
to,
about that either.
and I was also the president of fraternity in college. So let's just put that to bed right away.
I had a timeshare in the 90s.
All right, let's get back on track. Dave, any thoughts about the tackles?
Yeah, I mean, just a reminder, because you still see people about it. Oh, well, they're saying that Fautano's on the right side and his competition is with Dan Moore. I still think Broderick Jones is your best tackle. And I talked about this. I can't even remember. I think it was on the Scobro show. I don't know whether it was that or Pittsburgh Standard Time. I think it was Scobro. That Broderick Jones is your best tackle. But you still don't know which side he's going to be on, because it's less about him and more about the other guys. And then I do believe eventually he'll be on the left side. I just don't know if that's going to be how it begins, because Fautano's new to the right side. He might be fine. He might not. That's part of the storyline. If he's ready to go on the right side, then get your 2 young tackles ready to rock right off the bat. Now, do the Steelers, do they push it if they don't need to? They generally do not. But that's why I think the biggest thing that will probably happen this year with the tackles is there will be a position switch at some time during the year of Broderick Jones from right to left.
Brian, any thoughts on that?
No, I think he's right on there, and I think you both are. It is such an intriguing storyline because you have these new guys, but at the end of the day, whatever is best for your team week 1, it's got to be. We're not talking about 2025 week 1. We're talking about 2024 week 1. And as long as this team, Pat Meyer, Mike Tomlin, Arthur Smith, they feel that whoever they put out there is the right go, I'm fine with it.
All right. Dave, what's our storyline you're looking for?
Another storyline is, unfortunately, does Cam Hayward's contract affect his participation?
That's a good one. I was wondering that myself. What do you think, Dave?
Well, I think
You
his
had to predict.
participation's going to be limited anyway. He's going to get the Ben Roethlisberger treatment. He's going if everything's square, even if everything, if he signed a contract tomorrow, then what I would expect Cam Hayward during training camp to be would be practice one day, partial one day, and then off one day. That was Ben. That's what I would see from Cam. The question is, are we going to get any full from Cam if this hasn't happened yet? How's it playing out? Or even better, just, get her done.
Yeah. What about you, Brian? Any thoughts on Cam Hayward?
I really think that this, it's hard to say that a veteran, an esteemed veteran like this, is not in the position to hold out, but he's not. He really, this is a situation where, I know you've earned a lot, but you have your contract. And when you are up there in age and towards the end of your career, you cannot go ahead and assume that it's okay for somebody to come and take your job. So I have a feeling that there's got to be some good faith here. You both are right, because they're probably going to, you got hurt week 1 last year. So they're probably, they want to take it easy on him in camp. They know what he can do. They know who he is. I'm fine with the Ben Roethlisberger treatment in camp with him. I don't care to see too much of him in camp. Just make sure that he is loose and ready to go for week 1. That's all I care about. But I think on a good faith thing, I think it would actually be a bad move for Cam to hold in or hold out. I just don't think it would be good.
Yeah. Brian, what's your next storyline?
All right. So this storyline, it has a lot to do a little bit with the quarterbacks, but it has more to do with Arthur Smith. And the reason I say it has a little bit to do with the quarterbacks, with the fact that you have Justin Fields in the mix, how creative are we going to see the Pittsburgh Steelers offense be? Will there be gadgetry, or will we see any of that? Will it be something that we don't even see, that it's under lock and key, behind closed doors? But how different will this offense be when you have the opportunity to get really creative and you have the personnel to be very creative?
Dave, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm going to steal Jeff's answer. I'm not buying into anything that I see in camp in the preseason, because we saw all that last year.
I saw PTSD.
You're exactly right. I'm just nothing at training camp about it is going to make me feel better if it's going good. It's only going to make me concerned if it's not. Because if it's going good. At least it shows there's a chance. Because last year there was a chance and it still didn't come around right during the regular season. So I guess Jeff Hartman has rubbed off on me in that regard. But but if we see but also if things are bad, I'm not really worried about that either, because it's a brand new offensive coordinator. And like I said in one of Jeff and mine's 30 and 30 articles at steelcurtainnetwork.com that I did, I think it was yesterday, this is the first time in how long that the Steelers have both a new starting quarterback and a new offensive coordinator in the same season. Because you didn't have it at all pre-Ben Roethlisberger.
Right.
You would have to go pre-Ben Roethlisberger for that to actually be the case. So it's been a long time, never under Coach Tomlin. So there could be some growing pains in training camp. So I'm not going to be too down if it's bad, but I'm also not going to be too high if it's good, because we saw that show the last 2 years.
Yeah, I'm curious just to see in practices, even like think back to the last 2 years with Matt Canada. You would see this footage from the people that are covering the team. Look at all the jet sweeps they're practicing. Jet sweep, jet sweep, jet sweep. And then part of me thought, like, there's no way they're really going to do this in a game that much, are they? No, they are. And they did. So they didn't always hand it off, but they did a lot of jet sweep motions. I'll be curious to see what Arthur Smith does.
But never having a jet sweep isn't good either. They just did too much. You need to do it
they practiced it enough.
Yeah.
That was a good one, Brad, because there's a lot that we can glean from as they weed out potential plays and stuff. So for me, I just for mine, I guess I want to look at Nick Herbig, and I want to look at the second-year players in particular. I think that the second-year jump storyline is one that's very intriguing to me, and I've said this before, how a lot of times people get so enamored with the new shiny toy, which are the rookies this year, that they forget about the rookies last year and the step that everyone expects them to take. So we're talking about, obviously, the Joey Porter Jr.'s. We're talking about the Nick Herbigs, the Darnell Washingtons, the Broderick Jones. I mean, he should have a big step forward after almost a full season of experience last year under his belt. I want to see these guys, like Nick Herbig in particular, someone that sticks out, because if they don't sign another pass rusher, he's that guy. He's that guy that if someone gets hurt, he's in. He's that guy if somebody needs a break, he's in. And is he capable of that? He's made plays in a very limited space and time, I should say. But you guys brought up like Corey Trice coming off of injury. We'll throw Darius Rush into that mix. They have a large group of sophomores on this team that could really, if they take a step forward, could really help their cause in a big way. Dave, anything you want to say to that?
I agree. So it's not just the rookies that you constantly want to look at and see where are they in order to be ready to play. It's okay, second year guys. How much more ready are you to play this year than what it was last year?
Brian?
You know, I think you are right on there, Jeff. I think the second year player you're expected to be ready to go in your second year. And if you're not, that's when they start getting the B word ready. And that's where you start getting worried. I'm actually worried about a certain second year player. And this is going to make a lot of people mad at me, but I'm concerned about Joey Porter Jr. I hope he can make that second step. I hate to compare him to this guy, but Joey Porter Jr. was a top 3 guy with Defensive Player of the Year awards. So was Artie Burns. The Steelers we as fans thought we had something in Artie Burns. I think we have something better in Joey Porter Jr., but I still have these concerns. I hope he doesn't need a huge leap, but I hope he becomes that elite corner that we saw shades of last year. And I'm afraid that if there's any surprise and bad surprise, I'm afraid it could be JPJ.
Ew.
Because where he was last year was so high.
Yeah.
I think it's part of it. I'd be happy with the same for Joey Porter Jr. just for 17 games, which they didn't have him out there for all 17 games last year. So, yeah, I get what you mean with it.
But I'm not a pessimistic guy, but it's just.
Right. Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Let's go, Dave. Or no, who are we on? Dave, is it back to you?
I think it is back to me.
Let's go around one more time. If you have one, go for it.
Yes, I had one. Now I have to think of what it was. Because Brian got me thinking. Brian got me thinking about that one because that was a really good point. So, okay, I remember what it is now. All right, big storyline. Where are they still looking for help? What's going to stand out in a big way that, hey, they need to be looking at adding another player late in camp or after cut downs, everything. It's happened every year. I went over for, once again, referencing the 30 and 30 article series that Jeff and I do about trades. The Steelers have made 2 trades from the beginning of training camp up until week 1, each of the last 3 years. And we talked about it last week because that was my trivia. So I expect there to be a move. Now, could it be trading away people like they did last year? Yeah, that was their 2 trades. But I see the Steelers making some kind of move, either a signing or a trade, or not necessarily through the roof, but there's going to be something. The question is, where is that going to be needed the most? We have ideas of where that could be, but when you get to training camp and see stuff going on is when you'll actually get the better indication of, oh, well, maybe that's not so bad. Oh, maybe this is.
Oh, it's a good one. Brian, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, this leads into my next storyline, but I'm not going to get into that yet. All I'm going to say here is I'm hoping that it's not a situation where you are looking for somebody because of injury. I like it. I want it to be a situation where if you're trading someone away, it's because you have way too much depth and you think that you can go like a Dan Moore Jr. Dan Moore Jr. shines, but you can get away with moving him and you feel like you can, or something like that. Almost like the Kevin Dotson thing last year. Nobody can get too upset about the Kevin Dotson thing. He shined elsewhere, and I think it's awesome that he shined with the Los Angeles Rams and not in the AFC. However, that was a move everybody was calling for and wanted to make, and nobody's complaining about the two guys that you have there, in Isaac Seumalo or James Daniels. So if they make that move, I have no problem with it. If they make a move because they have to fix a need and they feel they can, I have no problem with that. But if it's for injury, man, that is going to suck.
Yeah, I'll throw in mine because Dave it's kind of all kind of moving together. My last storyline was simply going to be, do they go out and add anybody? Do they see like, oh, geez, we thought that we'd be able to flex Darius Rush into the slot and kind of be that Cam Sutton role until Cam Sutton's suspension's up after week 8, and that's not working. So let's go out and sign someone, or let's go out and bring in someone that's on the open market or whatever. I don't know. That's a storyline for me. Are they going to not necessarily make a trade per se, but do they just go out and say, we need some help and we're going to, maybe it's like a Stephon Gilmore who's still out there, a Justin Simmons, Patrick Peterson. Those are all just names being thrown out there on the open market. So, Brian, what was your storyline? Or Dave, do you want to say something?
I want to say one thing about something that Brian said. Sure. Brian brought up trading away Kevin Dotson, and he's spot on. But I wanted to clarify something that sometimes that you see and that fans don't necessarily think of when it comes to trading away a player like a Kevin Dotson. To me, Kendrick Green and Kevin Dotson were not the same type of trading away. Kendrick Green was more in the line of a Gerald Hawkins when they traded him away, because you probably wouldn't be able to keep him, so you shipped him. They weren't going to cut Kevin Dotson. But if they kept Kevin Dotson and didn't start Kevin Dotson, they might have had another young guy that they really liked and didn't want to get rid of, that might have then had to be on the chopping block. So sometimes it's that middle piece, the non-starter, that you then move because someone behind them you really like, and you don't want to run that chance of, can we get them on the practice squad? So sometimes that's the situations to look for.
All right, Brian, what's your final storyline here?
Well, I'm going to say thanks a slot, because Jeff, you kind of killed it. So I can say really quick. I want to see what's going on with the slot corner, because when you see the names that right now are penciled in because there's no Cam Sutton, you need to write them down or you're not going to remember them. So let's see if these young guys that they're throwing in there that they're saying are the possibility to be your slot, if they are going to make you feel like a James Pierre a couple years ago, where you're like, well, we can't get rid of this guy. Because and James Pierre had a good run with this team. I'm not complaining about that. But if you have a player that you feel that you got to keep, or if you're in a situation where we're like, oh my gosh, we are a train wreck at slot, we've got to do something. So that's kind of, and that goes back to Dave's, where they're going to go with trades. Jeff mentioned that too, by saying the corners. A Stephon Gilmore, you might see the return of Patrick Peterson too. That is not completely out of the realm of possibility. In fact, that would be one of the another one of the worst kept secrets if it happens. So I want to see the slot and I want it to thrive, but there's going to be big questions on that now with that 8-gamer suspension.
Yeah. So I want to draw everyone's attention to our audio only platform, which on Wednesday, we had the Steel City Insider, Jim Wexel, beat writer for SteelCityInsider.com, and Jeremy Ritz had Bryant McFadden, BMAC, that's cousin of Patrick Peterson, was asked specifically about it. And he said, well, Patrick would love to come back to Pittsburgh. whether Pittsburgh wants him back, we'll see. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out as we get going. Dave.
Yeah, and remember, he also said Patrick Peterson also understands that he's not that shut down corner that he used to be.
Great
and
point.
the
Yes.
biggest thing that I think trust me, there's so much there. I'm still not spoiling it all. But the biggest thing that he said there that I took away is, just if they brought him in, if for nothing more than depth and mentorship, it would be worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
I would love it.
Absolutely. All right. So we're going to take a quick break. For those that are watching live on Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it today, Facebook, YouTube, we're not going anywhere. But on the audio side, we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. You're going to hear about the latest news surrounding the Steelers and our trivia. Stay tuned. Be right back. All right, Steeler fans, we are back. I hope you enjoyed those storylines. We tried to get away from the mainstream stuff. Like the mainstream media is saying, watch the quarterbacks, no, like there's so much more. I think we did a good job of we didn't even talk wide receivers. Like that's what we're talking about. Like storylines necessarily. I guess we could have titled this storylines that the mainstream media is not discussing, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, let's talk about some news. Let's play this game a certain way. Tyler Matakevich is back. In 3 words or less, your feelings on the signing, Dave. Go.
Oh, my feelings on the signing. Okay, 3 words or less. Feelings of the signing. Maybe special teams. I mean, that's what he's brought in for.
Yeah, that's for real. Yeah, it's good. What about you, Brian?
Yes. Why not?
You killed me on that one. Yours was better.
It was almost why not exclamation point,
Yeah.
but that might have been
Yeah.
true words exclamation point. So I don't know.
Hey, I good insurance policy is what I'm going to say.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
If Cole Holcomb can't come back right away, if he misses time in the regular season, then he might have a spot. They're looking for special teams. I will say this: special teams ace. Tyler Matakevich is a special teams ace. We know Miles Killebrew is a special teams ace. Put them together, you could have a really dynamic special teams. And people that want to poo-poo that idea, that say that there's no value in that, go back and see how many times Miles Killebrew has gotten his hands on a punt and how it's completely shifted a game in the Steelers' favor. I mean, hell, Ulysses Gilbert III scored a touchdown because of Miles Killebrew. Keep that in mind. So, all right.
Yeah. Hold on. I got to look up something because if I ask you guys, I want to look like a fool.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
let me say something there, though, too, with these new kickoff roles. My gosh, you need to have aces. And, a Matakevich, still, I know you got to have speed, but he's speedy enough for as big as he is. And when you're that good on special teams, these new roles aren't going to hurt a guy like Dirty Red.
Yeah. Did you find what you were looking for?
Yeah, I was trying to figure it out. Was he involved at all? Remember the week 1, the Anthony Chickalo block punt back in the day? Was Matakevich? He was on the team then, right? Was he kind of?
Didn't he score? Didn't he recover it?
That was my question. Or yeah,
he was involved in the infamous Chicago Week 3 game in 2017. I think he was involved in a block that Chickalo got.
Okay. Maybe it's that one and not the one. And I'm not thinking right about the one that was, you know what I mean? Week 1 Cleveland, right? I can't remember what year that was.
18. The tie was 18.
I don't remember. There was a block punt early in that game.
We'll look it up. In the meantime, we're going to go away from Tyler Matakevich and we are going to go to Rob King. The Steelers made the announcement today that they are having a new play-by-play announcer. For those that haven't seen the news, you can see it all at steelcurtainnetwork.com. Make sure you check out that website, steelcurtainnetwork.com. But the Steelers decided Billy Hillgrove's out. He's not doing the Steelers anymore. He's still doing Pitt basketball and Pitt football, but he's not doing the Steelers. Who are they going to bring in? We thought it was between 1 or 2 people. It's either between Bob Pompiani or Rob King. They go with Rob King. I thought that was a great decision. Nothing against Pomp, and ain't easy, but I thought it was a good decision. Dave, you like the Rob King hire?
That's basically who we thought it was going to be. I'm fine. That's good.
All right, Brian.
Kind of a worst kept secret. I almost think that I love Pomp. I think King is nothing but a professional. I think he's really good. You couldn't go wrong with either guy. I think you're seeing a lot more from Rob King lately, and I think he is probably one of the guys that you could probably have in there for 30 years, because I think he's probably got about 10 to 12 years on Pomp, but I'm not for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I said this on my Let's Ride podcast on Friday when I talked about it. Those people that are Pittsburgh sports fans, not just Steeler fans, Rob King's voice because he did, intermission work for the Penguins. Let's throw it to Rob King in the studio with Jay Caulfield to talk about what's going on with the Penguins after the first period. He did Pirates stuff. All right, let's throw it over to Rob King and Kent Colby as they talk about the Pirates' latest loss in dramatic fashion, whatever the case is. He's done all of that stuff. The guy's a pro. And if you watch Steelers.com, his interview with Casey Hampton, go back and watch that. Like, it was hysterical. And they talked about how he got named Big Snack, which wasn't even him. It was Travis Kirschke gave him that nickname. But still, interesting interview with him. So that's Rob King. I want to see him do it his own way. And Bill Hillgrove did it his own way. And just like the people after Myron Cope passed away and stepped out of the booth, and after Tunch Ilkin left, everyone's got to find their own way. I do hope, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, is there someone that's in the booth with Hillgrove? Is that Craig Wolfley, or is he still down on the field?
No, Wolfley's in the booth.
He's in the booth. And so
Starks is on the field.
Max Starks is on the field. Okay.
And Missy Matthews is on the field too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Missy Matthews is more getting interviews. Starks is more view from the field information, like. Yeah, okay. If I recall. Okay. Can I jump in with something?
Go ahead.
Week 1, 2017 in Cleveland. Just over 2 minutes into the game, Britton Colquitt punts, blocked by Tyler Medikevich, recovered by Anthony Chickillo for a touchdown.
Nice. Good call.
So, that's what I was thinking. Medikevich blocked it, Chickillo recovered it. And I mean, Steelers only won that game, 21-18, and that was the first touchdown they had.
Perfect. All right. Any other thoughts on Rob King? Or are we good to go? Both trivia? Brian, do you have anything?
No, good hire. Love it.
Yeah.
Do you have trivia?
Yes, I do.
All right.
And it's a quick one. All right. Training camp starts next week. We all know St. Vincent has been the place for over 50 some years, with the exception of the COVID years where they had to play at Heinz Field. So what is the second most tenured training camp location for the Pittsburgh Steelers? I'm going to tell you this. It is also a college. It is also a Saint. And it was 6 years for the Pittsburgh Steelers back in the 1950s.
Huh. I knew they went to West Liberty, but it wasn't for 6 years.
Wasn't this somewhere like in Vermont or something like that? Where it was up in New England or something?
Yeah. No, not really New England. They were at the University of Rhode Island from 1964 to 66, right before St. Vincent.
That's the one I was thinking of, the one in Rhode Island.
What year did they go to West
Which is in New England.
Do you have it in
They
front
were
of
in
you, Brian?
West Liberty from 62 to 63, right before Rhode Island, and actually Slippery Rock in 61.
No. Okay. That's what Myron Cope told the Wheeling Feeling story. You can look that up, that DVD.
And so I just told you Slippery Rock in 61, from 58 to 60, California University of Pennsylvania. But this is a college from 1952 to 1957. You might have heard of them more if you watch March Madness, because every once in a while they're in there and you don't know where they are from. But there's
several Saints. I always think of St. Bonaventure.
It's not this. The Urban Wedge says St. Mary's in Frederick County, Maryland. It's not that, is it?
No, it's not. That'd be cool though.
But that would be great. Now that's how you can go cover training camp now.
David, New York. In New York, St. Bonaventure.
Oh, I was right.
Yes, you were.
Right as the bell rang. Ding.
Yeah,
you just
tried
said
to turn that off.
A Saint in that you sometimes hear in the tournament don't know where they're from. That's why.
Yeah, it's St. Bonaventure. Like nobody knows where Old Dominion is either. Virginia, I know,
True.
but But there you go. There's my quick triv.
Well, that's pretty
Perfect.
cool.
All right, Dave, what's your trivia?
Oh, my trivia might not be so quick.
Yikes.
I went through and I decided I was going to look at, according to Pro Football Reference, this is all done based on their filtering system, at active quarterbacks who have started games against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now there are 40. Hold on, let me look at it. I'm pretty sure it's 40. Is it 49 or 47? 49 active NFL quarterbacks that have started games against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, out of those 49, 22 of them have only started one game against the Steelers. So I took all those and threw them out because you're either 1-0 or 0-1 with all of those categories. But if you look at the other 27, there are only 5 active quarterbacks with multiple starts against the Pittsburgh Steelers that have a winning record. Now there's 9 that are at 500, but there are 5 that have a winning record. Can you name the 5 active quarterbacks? This is regular and postseason combined.
Josh
Name
Allen.
the 5 active quarterbacks. Josh Allen is third on the list. He's 4-1 against the Steelers. He has an 80% win percentage. So that's
Kirk
one of the 5.
Cousins.
Kirk Cousins. Let's see. I'm trying to find him. Kirk Cousins is one of the 50 percenters.
How
500.
about Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers is 2-1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He has the 66.7% winning percentage. So
Does that
you got
count?
2.
Does that count the
This is-
postseason?
Yes,
Yes,
it does.
postseason as well.
I'll go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
It's got to be Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes is 3-0 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's at the top of the list, tied at the top of the list of only 2 quarterbacks that are active that have not lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson is the other one that has never lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is 2-0 against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert has only started against the
Once.
Steelers once.
Yeah,
He
he's
is
only played
1-0,
once.
Okay.
but he's only started once.
So how many do you have left?
You have 1. This
Only
should be
one
easy
quarterback.
Joe Burrow.
because it's the only quarterback in the division with a winning record against the Steelers in his starts, and that would be Joe Burrow, who is 3-2 against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
Very nice job, gentlemen.
Thanks.
And within that, I think you hit, like, Cousins was one of the 9 500 ones. Do you want to hear who the 500 ones are?
Sure. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Derek Carr is 2-2. Ryan Tannehill 2-2. Kirk Cousins 1-1. Sam Darnold 1-1.
Oh,
Jimmy Garoppolo
gosh.
1-1. Brian Hoyer 1-1. Case
Oh.
Keenum 1-1.
Brian Hoyer. Brian Hoyer.
Kyler Murray 1-1, and Carson Wentz 1-1.
Oh, that's atrocious. That hurts. Hurts my soul.
How many of them were former Steelers? Who on that
Just-
list was a former
Oh,
Steeler?
Was
Well,
it
that's Hoyer.
Hoyer?
Brian Hoyer.
Yeah. So, because I mean, then you get a number. I mean, there's a number of quarterbacks who haven't lost the Steelers, but they only played them once. Brian mentioned Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, Mac Jones,
Brock
Trevor
Purdy.
Lawrence, Gardner Minshew, Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy, CJ Stroud, Tua DTR. Unfortunately, Zach Wilson and Bailey Zappi
Oh
are
my
all
gosh, this is
one
so
one
bad.
only played the Steelers once, but they are 1-0.
Oh,
another follow-up.
DTR.
Yeah,
And Bailey Zappi and
Yep. And Zach
This is-
Wilson.
Mac
There
Jones.
are only 2 names on this list. There are only 2 active quarterbacks who have double-digit games at starters against the Steelers.
There's only 2.
2 active quarterbacks that have started double-digit games against the Steelers.
Wow.
And honestly, other than that, yeah, well, there's only
started.
3 that has more than 5. Yeah. I can give you a hint for both of them.
Oh, someone said Flacco. I think that's right.
I was going to say neither of them are expected to be starters this year. Joe Flacco, 24 games. He is 11-13.
Baker Mayfield? No.
Baker Mayfield is the one that has more than 5, but not double digits. He had 8 starts against the Steelers. He is 3-5.
Is the Red Rocket still in the league?
Andy Dalton back up in Carolina.
Wow.
17 starts against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is 3-14.
Oh my gosh, this is good.
Wow.
Is that it? Is that all you're trying
Yeah,
to
that's it. All of it. Since I compiled the data, I thought I'd ask
Yeah.
as many questions as I could. I mean,
That's
honestly,
great.
after Baker Mayfield, the most starts against the Steelers is a tie between Joe Burrow and Josh Allen with 5. That comes in 4th of active quarterbacks. That's crazy.
All right.
Because
All
Lamar
right.
Jackson never starts the games. he's
That's
only
true.
has 4 starts
Yeah.
against the Steelers. So
All right, Brian. Let's do some final thoughts.
All right. My final thoughts are a programming note, but not a Steelers programming note. So I'd like to talk to you about our family here. And, it extends beyond the Pittsburgh Steelers. Of course, with the Fans First Sports Network, we have over 150 affiliates and all kinds of sports, whatever you want to get. And we're growing every single day. And we're looking at growing more and more. But an opportunity has come up for me and for a lot of people on Steel Curtain Network to expand our Pittsburgh fandom. And it's going to be with Talk the Plank, our Pittsburgh Pirates affiliate. So am I leaving Steel Curtain Network? Not whatsoever. But I am expanding to go ahead and take over that network. And I'm taking some people with me, but they're not leaving here either. So when I say that, you're going some of the names that you love, and even more names that you don't know yet that you're going to love will be there. I saw in the live chat somebody saying, please bring back Tony Defeo. Tell you what, we're bringing him back on Talk the Plank. So if you want to hear Tony talk about Pirates, he will be there. Shannon White will be there. Corey Eckenroth, who you know from the editorial side, and a host of others. So we're going to go ahead and have some great look. The Pirates right now, we've got Mustache Mania. What's better than Mustache Mania? The team's at 500, and if this team makes the playoffs, they can make noise with a pitching staff that reminds me of the 1990s Atlanta Braves with Glavine and Smoltz and Maddox, guys like that. They have the pitching. They might be doing something at the trade deadline, and guess what? The Pittsburgh Pirates deserve the Steel Curtain Network treatment, and that's what we're going to give them. So we're going to do what we do here at Steel Curtain Network with TTP. That's Talk the Plank. It's going to be coming very soon wherever you download your favorite podcast. So make sure you check it out here. And how many times have we talked about the Pirates on this show, especially with Paul Skeens? And we'll throw out some Pirate stuff when they open the season 5-0, and then we stop talking about them, but we're not going to stop talking about them on TTP. So go ahead, make sure you check us out there, but don't stop believing in the Steel Curtain Network.
Amen. Dave, final thoughts.
Sorry, I know I went to start talking and realized I'd muted from where my dog was barking. Yes, final thoughts. That, man, the summer really is rolling on, because when I look at summer, I think of June, July, August, because that's generally the months where kids are, if they're not already out of school by those months, then they're going to be soon. Sometimes they go back to school in August, but they don't start the month in school. Those are the summer ones. And this week we moved past the midpoint of July. So we are in the second half of summer. The second half of summer is when we get training camp. So it's right here. And next thing you know, we'll be talking about a preseason game. It's exciting. We've done so much content with so little going on. I am so ready to have more going on, not just in training camp. Bring on the preseason games. I mentioned it on Pittsburgh Standard Time. If you didn't catch that on the audio-only side this morning, go back and say that. I'm excited for the preseason to see this new kickoff. I think that's going to be really fun to look at. So much so, I might even tune into the Hall of Fame game, which I don't ever watch if it's not the Steelers, just to see if anything crazy goes down with the kickoff. So there's that's a storyline that we could have talked about from training camp. But to me, that's going to get more into the preseason games to see what they look like. So that's going to be a lot of fun. It's here. It's here. The next time I'm getting together to do a podcast with these two gentlemen, the Steelers will have had a non-padded practice, unless we get breaking news and have to do one of those. But our next Steelers preview, that's what we can expect. It's here. It's here.
Well said. Gentlemen, thank you for your time as always. It's been a great Steelers preview podcast. Next time, like Dave said, we are back here on a Steelers preview. We will have Steelers football to discuss. Even if it's in shorts, I don't give a crap. It's still Steelers football. So, all right, Dave, why don't you send us out like you always do?
Hey.
See you next week. Another Steelers preview.
Steel Curtain Network. Get it.
Everybody else gets a little tight.